Alright guys, Big Wheel Dog 82 in the soil, and today we're kicking off episode 4 of the Impaired Gardener series, which covers tools. Tools can be varied and vast, and certain things that come to mind automatically with being tools, but maybe a couple of other things that I could throw in there to give you an idea that they could be tools too. So why don't you guys sit down, grab a drink, and let's get into this. So the first tool I want to cover are hand tools. So that's your typical shovels, rakes, pitchforks, broad forks, horis, anything like that. You don't need every single hand tool on the planet, and depending on what your physical capabilities are, you may not even be able to use them. Get just enough to get the job done and is the easiest for you. So for instance, in my in-ground bed, I typically use not necessarily a broad fork that you would stand on to break the ground, but it's the hand shovel or the hand fork that's just got the thicker tines on them. That's good enough to open up my ground if I need to get, the compost and the fertilizer into it. Whereas with my raised bed and my pots, I typically can get by with just a hand fork or a screen. I forgot about that. I've got a DIY screener that I use to make sure I get up any roots or whatever out of my pots. So it just depends on what makes it easier for you, on what you consider a tool and how you would be able to use it. The next tool I want to discuss are transporters. So that's anything like a dolly, wheelbarrow, or any of the four-wheeled wagons, which, if I have to admit, the four-wheeled cart wagons are probably the easiest transporter that you can use. Now, I'm able to, from time to time, use a wheelbarrow, so I don't typically have a four-wheeled cart, but it's each to their own. You know what your abilities are. You want to know what's easiest for you to use, so that's what I would suggest using. Now, you can also put totes, not totes that you're growing in, just totes that you're keeping stuff in, that I typically like to do ahead of time before I need it. That way, when it's time to actually use it, I can throw it in that cart along with any tools I need to make it my mobile station, so to speak, and get 3 or 4 jobs done because I brought out all the equipment, or I brought out everything I was going to need for that task, and then use it then, so that I have less help needed or I make less trips back and forth. So depending on your physical abilities will dictate what type of transporter that you can use. Now, since I just discussed using totes as a transporter, you can also use totes as your container. And we're talking all kinds of different containers, whether it's planters, whether it's your raised bed, whether it's a wicking bed. All those things can be useful in different applications depending on your physical abilities. Now, the thing I like about containers is to say you're in a wheelchair. The easiest thing for you to do would be kind of like what I have behind me, which is I've got a lot of my plants that are in small containers that are going to be transplanted out, but you can have your main container just sit right on the table, or any type of a surface that allows you to be able to put yourself in and work comfortably in that position. If you need to, maybe you might have to have somebody build you something custom. Hopefully, maybe you can find something that's already built, like a table or a patio table or one of those folding tables or what have you. Anything that helps you be able to get what you need to get done in the garden done faster and easier is the perfect option for you. Now, when it comes to planters are by far the most useful tool that we have, because you need something to grow your plants in. And you can do, like I mentioned before, a raised bed, in-ground bed, a green stalk tower like I have my strawberry plants in, but you can also build your own. I made myself a wicking bed out of a tote, some PVC, and some high-grade agricultural fabric. But you can pretty much turn anything. I've even turned a cardboard box that I lined with plastic into a planter for a season. Your options there are endless. You can do the kitty litter containers that I've reappropriated into planters. You don't have to spend money to get money. Matter of fact, you could even go to a neighborhood nursery during the springtime, and a lot of times they're giving those containers away for free. I've got some huge tubs that they would grow trees in that they were just giving away, and I'm growing my potatoes in it right now. So don't overlook your planters or things that you can turn into planters, especially if they can be turned around and used in an adopted fashion to suit your needs. This next tool that I'm going to discuss, it might seem a little confusing at first, but maybe not. It's humans, other people. No matter who you are, even the able-bodied need help from time to time. So, asking for help or setting up help to assist you while you're trying to do your gardening, it seems like a no-brainer to me. The biggest problem you have with having people be a useful tool for you is time allotment. Everybody's got their own lives, their own issues and challenges, so it really becomes down to preparation and scheduling for them to be able to assist you to the degree that you require. Now, there's also gardening clubs or say neighbors that can get together, and if that's the case, that makes things easier, because at least then you can still have the benefit of having others around you without feeling like they're catering to you, because you're both doing the same tasks or the same thing at the same time. So it's more like a cooperative experience versus, oh, I need this person or I can't do this without other people. So that would pretty much be my biggest takeaway and advice when it comes to using people as help and a tool that can make the difference between a great garden or one that just you're not happy with at the end of the day. Now, this very last tool seems quite simple, but I've come to find it being a little challenging but extremely helpful, and that's a logbook, a gardening logbook. And do you ever get into the garden and everything's flowing and everything's going right, and you forgot to take notes, you have to try to remember it off of memory, and then come the very next season or the very next time you restart that crop again and things just don't turn out the same way? Well, if you keep yourself a logbook, especially throughout an entire gardening season, at least then maybe it'll help you correlate temperatures or weather or timings of things like fertilizing, watering. There's never too much information that you can have at one time that you couldn't put into a logbook, so you can go back to, especially during the long winter break where you're not really doing anything, you're planning what's going to happen next season and what you're going to grow. You being able to have a resource of first-hand information that you earned is invaluable. And from time to time, I slip on writing down in my logbook, but the times that I did remember, when I needed that information, I did. And you could have it in a simple notebook like this, or a lot of times I just jot it down in the notes app on my phone. And that alone by itself has saved me a whole lot of questions and guesswork, and it's something extremely valuable but simple that people can do. So if you can, remember, try jotting everything down on a logbook. Alright guys, that's my time. I hope that any of the information I gave you or the ideas in this video are helpful, whether you're able-bodied 100% or you've got issues just like I do. So I hope to see you guys next time, and guess what? I'll be right back with another one of these episodes to help any and all out. So with that, Big Wheel Dog 82 in the soil, and I'm out of here. See you guys later.